This week's episode of The Grid is sponsored by Impix. Shoot today, upload tonight, we ship tomorrow. OnOne Software, focused on photography. Peach Pit Press, publishers of technology books, ebooks, and videos for creative people. Epson, exceed your vision. Expo Imaging, rogue flash vendors for speedlight enthusiasts. Intel, the power you need for hardcore creatives. Squarespace, everything you need to create an exceptional photography website. And B&H Photo, the professional source.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to another live episode of The Grid, brought to you by everyone over at Kelby Media Group. My name is Matt Kloskowski, and I am joined here today by Mr. R.C. Concepcion.
How's it going, man? What's going on, everybody? How you doing? How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. We haven't been on a show together in a long time, hasn't it?
It's actually, you've been on the road, I've been on the road, and we were actually just catching up right before they started the camera. And they're like 4, 3, we're like
whoa.
Oh, show.
So we're flying the missing man formation because Scott is out today. Where is Scott today? I think he's on vacation. It's spring break. So his kids are on spring break, so he took the week off to spend with them. But we are here in full force. A couple things to get out of the way. First off, we have two of our fellow Photoshop guys have started blogs.
I know.
And I wanted to let everybody know about it.
I was very excited about it. I was proud for them.
I know. What's that? The semi-consistent blog. So first blog person is Corey Barker. And
who I actually just finished giving a yelling to this morning. Because he put together this entire Iron Man thing, and you go into his office. Now, mind you, to know Corey Barker's to know that he loves movies. So he's got movie posters and pictures of Vegas, but he is probably the best. I'm going to say it right now, probably one of the best Photoshop illustrators out there, hands down. Oh yeah, amazing. He is absolutely phenomenal. And I'm like, Corey, why don't you take this thing, this Iron Man thing, and take a couple of other pieces, send it to somewhere like Image Wizards, print it on metal, and just be surrounded by awesome stuff. Yeah. I was like, take all of this stuff down and get your stuff out there. He did a guest blog post for Scott
today
where he
Scott's
talked
blog.
a little bit about it, but I mean, he's just got phenomenal
Here, I'll
work.
pull it up. You can see. So Corey was the guest blogger on Scott's blog today. And he went over the ways that he created that image and whatnot. But I told him when I saw that, I'm like, dude, you did a time lapse of it, like, right? Like, and he's like, no. I'm like, do it again and do it. He's like, it took 15 hours. I'm like, do it again faster and do a time lapse. But anyway, we've been on Corey to make a blog to show off his stuff for years now, because I think other than just teaching, I think Corey's got a lot of great information to share. So, and then our other fellow Photoshop guy is Mr. Pete Collins. I pulled his blog up here. So Pete's only been here for close to 2 years, so we haven't been on him quite as long to make a blog, but long enough. So I was really psyched to see that Pete has a blog too. So he used Squarespace, and his blog is half gallery, because Pete is a very, very talented photographer. And I wrote about it on my blog. I said the funny thing about Pete is he's one of those frustrating guys, because he's just as talented of a photographer as he is a illustrator, designer, artist too. So he's
a double threat, and I think that's one of the reasons why we were very excited to be able to bring him on. He can play both sides. He's bi-talented. He really is. He can just do it both. He can do it on both ends. It's wonderful. So but he's got a great gift. He's got a great eye for photography. He's got a great eye for design, and I think that both of them kind of lend themselves to help one another. And so it's very happy to see them right there. If you want to see Pete, you can just go to PeteCollins.com, and if you want to see Corey is CoreySBarker.com.
Corey S. Barker, that is correct.
Right, so it's CoreySBarker.com.
CoreySBarker.com. All right, guys, we're going to take a very quick break. When we get back, we are going to launch into our first topic. So we kind of got two things today. We wanted to talk, because we've been getting a lot of questions about, so if you didn't know, Nik Software, Google, announced $149 for the entire suite. And if you already own a product, then you get everything for free.
Just one product. If you own Silver FX, bam, you get everything.
If you bought Define 7 years ago, you still get everything for free. So
now,
they just announced that for $149. So we want to talk about that.
Before we go though, I want to be able to point out for the record, I was right.
What?
That's it. I was just right.
Okay.
I was right.
Of course.
We knew Google was going to come with something big. And this was the big that came with it. But
come on. You didn't think they were doing this.
Okay.
Anyway, and then the other thing, we kind of called it our beginner show.
Yes.
RC and I both teach, we talk a lot on Photo TNT and a lot of various webcasts out there. And one of the things we've been wanting to do for a while was just kind of talk to people about, like, if you're just starting out, what would you get for a camera body? What would you get for a lens? What would you get for a tripod? And kind of just pick, one or two things from each category and kind of help people out with, if you're just starting out, what would we recommend to people having gone through a lot of that equipment and gear? What would we recommend? So when we get back from our break, we'll talk about all that stuff. See you back here in just a minute.
Hi, everybody. Scott Kelby here. I'm the Conference Technical Chair for the upcoming Photoshop World Conference and Expo. I want to tell you something new we're doing for 2013 I think is going to have a really big impact. So we have over 100 training classes over the 3 days. What we've done is we've divided these very carefully into 7 training tracks. It's like having 7 conferences all in one place at the same time, and you can choose which one you want to go to. For example, let's say that you come to Photoshop World and you really want to learn Lightroom. Well, we have a Lightroom track that runs every day throughout the conference, so you can go there and learn nothing but Lightroom. Or what if you wanted to learn lighting? You can go and get the best instructors teaching you lighting every single day. We have 7 different tracks that are going, and by the way, if you're in a track, you don't have to stay in that track. You can go into any track you like and switch anytime, many times as you want. That's what's great about this. It gives you complete control over creating a custom conference experience with 7 different tracks to choose from. I hope I'll see you at the upcoming Photoshop World Conference and Expo.
Hey guys, we are back live on the grid, and we even have some guests in the audience.
Yeah,
today,
we have. So we've got Anthony and we've got Rebecca, and actually they have their families with them. So we have 3 children. We've got 1 girl over here, and just a bunch of different people watching, which I think is really, really, well, there's 1, 2, 3, and then there's 4. There's 3 on that side, there's 1 on that side.
There's 7. We have our largest studio audience ever. We have our largest amount of kids watching the grid ever.
I know. I thought that was pretty cool.
Hey, can I tell a very, very quick story? I taught my Lightroom seminar where did I teach it last? Friday.
Phoenix.
Last Friday, Phoenix. I was in Phoenix last Friday teaching my Lightroom seminar, and somebody came up, a woman came up and said, can you take a picture with my son? He's here learning Lightroom today, and I'm like, sure. And she's like, I think he's your youngest Lightroom fan here today. I think he's my youngest Lightroom fan ever. He was 10 years old.
Yeah.
10 years old.
Do you have
Christian.
A picture up there somewhere?
I don't have it. I don't have it.
Well,
up there.
figure it out. Figure it out. Don't do it now, but figure it out at one point, because I thought it was really, really neat. Because Matt's like, look at this picture, and I'm like, dude, you have to blog that.
10 years old, his name was Christian, and 10 years, and he was at the Lightroom seminar, and he was digging it. Like, he was talking to me about everything. I'm like, what do you like to shoot? He's like, I like to shoot cars. I'm like, that's cool. So, anyway. All right.
Well, we're happy to have a young audience here.
We are. And we have to mention one of our sponsors, too, which is Photoshop World. So Photoshop World's coming up in Orlando, mid-April. So RC's got it up.
17th to the 19th at the Orange County Convention Center in Orlando, Florida. If you want to do photography and Photoshop with the best people in the industry, this is the place for you guys to go. It's only 20 days away. So jump in. This should be the time that you do it. It really is a great time.
And if I can point out, because I know there's a lot of people that they're like, oh, spring break in Florida. The the good thing about Photoshop World is like a month late this year. And the good thing about that is spring break is pretty much over by the time Photoshop World starts. So you're not going to get all the spring break crowds, and I bet you can get some pretty good deals on hotels and everything there too. And of course, we have pre-conference workshops the day before. So
you're doing one?
I'm doing a compositing one with Glenn Dewis. So we're gonna people are gonna shoot and composite in the class. So it'll be pretty fun.
Nice.
All right. First up, so let's pull up. I got a website here. So we'll take a look at this website. If you go to niksoftware.com, create stunning images faster. Get the full Nik Collection by Google, now just $149. So, for those of you that haven't heard yet, we said it before the break, if you own any Nik product, you instantly get the upgrade for free. Like I said, if you bought something 7 years ago, you get the upgrade for free. And then if you don't, you can buy the entire suite for $149.
Which is probably cheaper than some of the stuff that they've had. I mean, if you go back and you think about it, Silver Effects was how much?
Yeah, Silver Effects was probably used to be $149.
Right. So now you can get everything for $149.
Oh, definitely.
So that in itself, and so we were talking about the you're right thing, right? When Google bought Nik, everybody was just kind of like, oh, that's it, Nik's dead, it's gone, forget it, it's gonna go, and I think that to some degree, a lot of the problem happened is that you didn't hear any kind of information coming out from Nik. Right? When they bought it, they were just like, hey, they just merged with Google. And it's like Google came in and just went chomp, 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 and grabbed it. But there was no message that was coming out other than, kind of some things that were like, we support photography, we support artists, and that's it. But not saying, hey, we're going to get rid of plugins or we're not going to get rid of plugins. Everybody was kind of left here on the devices, and there's rumors on the internet all over the place. They laid off people. They've closed store. All the engineers
they weren't selling on B&H anymore.
They weren't selling on B&H anymore. Yeah. There were all of these rumors, and everybody's kind of, there have been a lot of these segments that have had like this pitchfork that are just like, I bought this, now you can't abandon it, you can't abandon it. And for a while, it was just, there was no response out of it. And so I went on my blog and on Google Plus, and I was talking to people about the fact that I thought that with a company as big as Google taking something like that and going into a photography space, I could see them diversifying enough to want to provide a solution. But in Google fashion, anytime that Google does something, it's always massively disruptive. It's always massively disruptive. It's always very, very cheap, and it's always interconnected. Mm-hmm. So for me, I've always thought to myself, well, you think about it, when email came out, everybody 120 megs, 140 megs, Google turned around and said, oh, we'll give you a gig. And then they turned around and said, oh, well, not only are we going to give you a gig, but we're going to turn around and we're going to create Google Docs, which means that you could take your documents and your emails and put them together. Then you could take your music and then put them together. So they're always threading all of these different things. And this is just a fear. Again, I have no idea whether or not this was true or not, and I don't want to be quoted on it, but I had always said to myself, with them getting into photography as much as they own, they've already got your pictures, they've already got your documents, they've got your email, and they've got your music. What's left? And it was pictures. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, you started seeing things like Drive come out, and then it's like, all right, well, you could start loading mass amounts of stuff to go into a cloud. So I'm like, there's got to be, one of the things that they had was Picasa, which I wasn't a fan of at all, to do online editing. And then I was just like, this made sense to me. And I was like, and I don't want to go out there and say, because obviously I'm a public-facing person, and I don't want to be like, they're fine, they're going to come out with this other thing. But I was hoping that they would. Mm-hmm. So I was very happy to see that, and I've been a big fan, and it was one of those things where. Okay,
so let me fire back and just say, what are you happy to see? So what does the price drop tell you?
To me,
and then the reason why I want to talk about it, because we're getting questions from people: do I buy Nik or do I buy OnOne?
And they're fair questions.
Very, very fair question, because you've got two very powerful plugin suites, and you don't want to buy both of them. So which one do you buy? Mm-hmm. So what does the price drop tell you? Because there's no new features, there's no new versions announced, mm-hmm. and I guess part of what I was thinking would be if there was something new, like if there was going to be a Silver Effects 3, if there was going to be a Color Effects 5 coming, if there was new features coming, I guess I would have thought they would have taken that opportunity to say, price drop and check this out. Look at what we've done. So not only are we not going to let these products die, but here's proof that we're not. $149 price drop doesn't tell me that there's life continuing beyond these products.
And that is something that I was thinking about, because you brought that up when we were about to start the show, where you were just like, well, that actually tells you something very, very different. I didn't think that, but now it's got me considering it.
Could $149 price drop just be audience capturing.
Right, but audience capturing for what?
For Google Plus, and eventually, I agree with you. I would think that the strategy somewhere with Google is you're getting everybody's photos.
Right.
Is let's do something with them. And I don't want to steal your thunder because RC. But doing something with those photos. I'll let you talk more about that. But doing something with the photos. And I guess how does that fit? Just because the price dropped to $149 doesn't mean that doing something with the photos necessarily means that software. Google Plus is a different thing. So audience capturing, trying to capture and move people into kind of that realm of
well, I mean, and I don't know. And again, I wouldn't want
Google and Google Plus.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to misspeak for them, but what I could say is.
Really quick, would you not agree that a big push for Google right now is Google Plus?
I would agree that yes.
Huge.
I think it's a very big push.
So,
I think it's a very big push.
I guess what I'm saying is I personally think everything done here is a funnel into Google Plus.
Yeah, I could see that, and I think that if you introduce people to this, and I personally, what I think is happening is I think that they're trying to introduce you to the Google experience and having everything set up on Google and working with most of that stuff.
So
one of the things that I thought,
say where you think it's going.
Oh yeah.
I want to get that out already.
Yeah. I think it's one of the things that I thought was really exciting for me was the Chromebook Pixel. The Chromebook Pixel was this Google Chrome notebook that came out, and it was gorgeous Retina display, really small, beautiful graphics. But they turn around and in the middle of all of it, they said it's $1,300. And everybody went nuts about it. They were just like, are you kidding me? Chromebooks are these $200, $250 pieces of machinery that you just kind of throw away. They're all disposable. And I sat there and I was just like, and you're looking at all of this stuff, and when you're looking through what they were offering, they offered cloud storage. 3 years of cloud storage. And it's like, oh, okay, so then that means that they're expecting you to use this thing to take advantage of their cloud storage. Then they also announced a feature, which I thought was really cool and not talked about too much, which was you could take an SD card, put an SD card into the side of it, and it uploads all of your images onto the cloud. And they have some sort of formula that looks for out-of-focus pictures and all of that kind of stuff. And I said, well, if they're doing all of this stuff, right, you go back to like raw processing, right? Raw processing is all parametric editing. All it is just you take a file, you take an XMP file, and you kind of change it.
You're changing numbers.
You're changing numbers. You're not changing pixels.
Yeah.
So what prevents you, again, hypothetical, I have no idea, I don't talk to these guys, but if that's the case, then why don't you just go out and just do that on a cloud? If you can do that on a browser, I mean, look, take a look at this. Not that I want to kind of go, not that I want to go, completely off.
While you're pulling that up, I'll read a comment.
Okay.
So Mark Kuhn tells me it's the last chance for them to make some money before they drop them.
But see, Mark, here's the problem.
I don't think.
Mark, Google's got a ton of money.
Yeah.
And everybody wants to associate it with money and power, money and power. It's like, well, they just want to grab money. They just want to grab money. They don't grab money by making it $149.
Yeah.
And that margin is not something that Google deals with.
And there's not enough of us. There's not enough of us paying $149 that Google, being the respectable company they are, is going to say, hey, let's just grab $150 from a few more people. Because literally, and when I say a few more, the number of people that will buy this, because it's in the advanced amateur to semi-pro range, right? Would you say Nik products? Yeah. It's my mom who has her point and shoot is not going to buy Nik products.
It's like, what are you going to make for $149?
So it's people who just really love to shoot and have a DSLR that are probably going to buy those. How many people are there out there?
See,
there's not tens of millions, which I think is what Google really wants to capture.
Yeah, exactly. Google operates in billions. They don't operate in millions. Millions don't interest them. Billions are what they want. So that doesn't make any sense to me. But here, take a look at this website. This has nothing to do with Google or Adobe or anything. It's a website called Pixlr. You go to Pixlr, you can open up a Pixlr editor, and guess what? I want to create an image. I want to open an image from a computer. I want to grab an image. Let's say I grab this image right here. I'm going to upload this image, and the image is up here. You have layers, you have tools, you have filters, you have everything that you need to modify this image, and it's being done in a browser. So what puts you in a position where you can't turn around and go, if I were Adobe, I'd be sitting there going, yeah, this don't look good at all. Because now you can put yourself in a position where you could do a lot of this editing in a cloud. And who does the cloud better than Google right now? So that's where I've been kind of looking at all of this stuff, and I'm like, it's still early.
It is.
But they've got plenty of time to wait.
And I guess what I would say back to that is I guess you almost have to talk about the audience.
Right.
Because I think the audience, yes, I see the break sign. There's a big break thing, and they're moving it back and forth so that we see it. We'll take a break in just a minute. But I think the audience, I'm thinking DSLR space.
Okay.
Okay. So when I say audience, I'm thinking the DSLR space, not necessarily pro. You don't have to have a D4, but you have a DSLR, and I don't think that editing is going to move up to the cloud, because look at DSLR sensors; they're not getting smaller. You know, Nikon's got the D800 with the 36 megapixel. You know, Canon's answer can't be far away, and when in history have sensor sizes have image gotten smaller coming out of your DSLR? So you know that number is just going to keep growing.
Right.
And so what you showed is cool. Let me upload my 36 megapixel picture to that.
But you know where they don't have a problem with that? Kansas, where they have Google Fiber. And again, if you put all of that stuff together, are we going to have a problem with it on just a regular modem? No. But if you have gigabit connections, your pipes are this big.
I know, dude, but we still have so many people.
We got to skate to where the puck is going, baby. We can't just...
Dude, we still have people today that can't watch our videos because they don't have a strong enough...
Now, that said...
Can we take a quick break?
Yes, let's say. But what I will say is, that said, both of the things, whether it be OnOne or Nik Software, I think both of them are going to be here for quite some time. My position on it is that both of them are going to be quite some time, and I think that now you're in a position where you can have a little bit of competition, you can have a little bit of choice, and at the end of the day, does it really all matter what's going to happen in the future? They're here now. You've got great deals now. You've got a great tool set to be able to make images with this, and all of it is just kind of dependent on where you are. I'm a big fan of Nik Software. I like using Nik Software. You do too, but I think that you do a lot more now on the OnOne side of things, and I think that you're finding it to be really good for you. Yeah,
well, and I think I have a good way for us to finish it up after the break to just kind of look at some differences between the two.
Perfect.
But let's take a very quick break, and when we get back, we'll finish that up, and then we'll start talking all about our recommendations for starting out. See you back here in a minute. Or two. Or maybe three.
Hi, I'm Joel Grimes, commercial advertising photographer. I'd like to have you check out my new class on beauty, fashion, lighting, and retouching. I've discovered there's nothing more difficult than learning how to light beauty and fashion, and then, of course, the retouching side of things. I'm going to cover all those techniques. I'm Joel Grimes. Come check me out on kelbytraining.com.
For more than 25 years, PeachPit has been home to the world's best authors and continues to publish the best books, ebooks, videos, and apps. Whether you're an aspiring or established photographer, PeachPit is here to help you learn new techniques and inspire your creativity. PeachPit, the future looks creative.
Hey everybody, we're back live on the grid with RC Concepcion.
What's going on, everybody?
Make a quick mention of one of our sponsors, which is PeachPit Press, and they have a ebook deal of the week for you. So this is for the Adobe Masterclass, the Adobe Photoshop Masterclass by Iberian X Perella. And the ebook list price is $27, but you can get it for, what is it, $16.79.
That's right.
And
so we're 40% off, and I think that you can do it with an offer code of KelbyTV. So just go to the PeachPit website, you can find that, and then you can go ahead and you can put in the offer KelbyTV, and you'll get
cool.
You'll get that.
Somebody's writing up. Brad's writing up on the thing here. If you're gonna buy the Nik Collection and you're a NAP member, I think you still get 15% off. So somebody said it still works. So if you pull up my computer screen here, one of the things that I thought was interesting is this deal from OnOne. Mm-hmm. This was announced, I think it was like 30 to 45 days ago. Mm-hmm. Is a competitive upgrade from Nik's to OnOne's for $149. So I thought that $149 price point was pretty interesting. So
there's a lot of competition in that space.
Yeah.
And you know what? And the horrible part about this is that I'm a person who uses both. Like Perfect Resize, great for me. Color FX Pro, great for me. So it's like I sit in both spaces. Yeah. It's kind of hard sometimes to tell people get one versus another.
So, and to answer the question that we get quite a bit, which is, you know, what are the differences between the two? What do we recommend and whatnot? I'm personally, I've become a very big OnOne fan. Mm-hmm. And what I like about what OnOne's doing is that they're recognizing Lightroom to be the big heavy hitter right now. Mm-hmm. Okay, Lightroom is the program that photographers are using, and they're recognizing that. And what they're doing is they're saying, well, not everybody wants to jump into Photoshop. You have a bit of a learning curve there, and you have a bit of a cost investment there. Mm-hmm. And so what they're saying is not everybody wants to jump into Photoshop. So let's create the things that Lightroom doesn't do. Mm-hmm. Retouching being one of those things, and that's where their perfect portrait plugin comes in. And I went head to head. I thought I remember that. I told the story on my blog. I really thought I was like, hey guys, this is kind of cute, but I can retouch way faster than this. And I went head to head on them, and they just smoked me in a retouching contest for that. So I believe in their plugin for that, mainly because I got smoked by the plugin. But anyway, so I think they're looking at things that Lightroom doesn't do. So that's why I've kind of become a fan. The two big reasons I'm a fan of OnOne's products is it's a suite. Nik might call it a suite, but if you want to sharpen and you want to remove noise and you want to use color effects, you're going to open up 3 different programs.
I have a theory on that too, but I'm not going to.
Well, I know. We're talking future here, but
yeah, okay. Right now, I get you.
You're going to open up 3 different programs.
Yes.
To do those things, and that's why I've been a big fan of OnOne. The other thing is do you use control points?
I do.
Do you?
Yeah.
I've never been a big fan of the control point thing. It just never totally made sense. And OnOne has a brush. You paint it in and you paint it out. It's a plus or minus brush. So to me, the brush mentality of you apply an effect to an image and you want to just take it out of part of the image, like I want to take it out of the sky. To me, the brush just seemed, because control points, you got to put one over here. If there's a person here, you put one over here, then you copy it and duplicate it over there. And it's just, I've never been a huge fan of the control point technology. So I like the brush. But anyway. As far as Nik stuff goes, I mean, they've got good quality. Nik didn't get where they are without making really solid products. So, yeah. And Silver Effects really, I think, had...
There isn't a black and white photographer that doesn't use Silver Effects.
They became the de facto standard for black and white. I think OnOne's black and white plugin is just as good. It's just, it didn't, Silver Effects came out first. Mm-hmm.
So
thoughts?
Thoughts.
Oh, we got questions too.
Yeah, we got questions. Didn't Google just kill Snapseed? What signs are there that they're not doing the same to the Nik stuff? Scott, no, they didn't kill Snapseed. They killed the Snapseed desktop, and you and probably 10 other people used it. That's one of the biggest problems that they had. So they came out with the desktop thing, and everybody's like, "You use Snapseed? The thing on my phone? No, there's a desktop version." So that's the part where it was just like, I could see where they would have killed it. I mean, I used it, but I didn't use it all that much.
Jock says Google must get something out of the deal, like your email address for ads or something. I'm sure Google gets lots out of the deal. I got no problem with that. Yeah. Google's a company there to make money, and they should.
Yep.
Jeff says, I think as technology advances and many people move away from the PC to tablets and smartphones, there's going to be less desire for companies to produce computer-installed software.
Yeah, until something hits a satellite and then all of the internet is down and then we can't do anything with it.
I want to get to our topic, which is beginners, so we got to end this. But I have this. I've had this nagging thought about, because all anybody wants to talk about today is tablets.
Yes.
Tablets and smartphones. It's all anybody wants to talk about. It's all any software developer wants to talk about. Everybody wants to develop for the tablet and the smartphone because that's what's hot right now.
Yes.
I have this theory that your big huge desktops are gone. Or for most of the part, for most people, they have laptops.
Right.
Now you're down to laptops, then it goes down to the tablet, then it goes down to the mini tablet, and then it goes down to this thing. I have this thing that I think we're going to kind of go back up a little bit.
Yes.
And I think we're still going to land on a laptop-like device.
Yes.
I don't want to edit my photos on a tablet.
No.
I like a keyboard.
Yep.
I like a mouse.
Yep.
I like to do those things, and I think some things are great for the tablet, but I think for photo editing, we're still going to go back up a little bit.
I tend to look at a tablet as a place where I go. The tablet's the place where I put my finished product. Mm-hmm. And
it's consumption for me. I watch videos on it. I play games.
Videos,
games,
email. Music, social media, and where I show my finished images. I don't sit there and go, "Ooh, I can't wait to get this on my tablet and make it harder for me."
Yeah.
It's not what I do. So I think the fever's gonna kind of come down a little bit, and you'll get back into kind of this kind of space.
All right. So should we jump into our other stuff here?
Let's.
So let's see here. So our whole point with this, RC and I had talked about doing a show like this on the Photo TNT, and we thought, we could also do it here. And by all means, we'd like your questions too. If we're not covering something that you've been wanting to, like, hey, what do you guys think about this? I just started out and I want to buy X, whatever it is. Let's just start with the big one, camera bodies.
Sure.
And by the way, we're not going to say that we're going to recommend cheap stuff. We're going to recommend
basic stuff.
Basic stuff, exactly.
Basic may not be cheap.
Yeah, I'm trying to look at a good one here. If you want a good inkjet printer to print good inkjet prints, I hate to tell you, but you're starting at $600 or $700.
Yep, the Epson R3000.
Exactly. So that's the one that I have listed right here. But let's talk about camera bodies. Camera bodies, I'm a Nikon shooter, so I would recommend a D3200 as your basic entry level. I want to get a DSLR. I'm not really sure what this DSLR does, but I just know that I want one because I really like photography, and I want to jump into the DSLR world. I'd get a D3200. On the Canon side, probably the Rebel,
whatever the
XTI double dash T, whatever it happens to be. But the Canon Rebel is the standard.
Yeah,
on
I think that
Canon side.
what I think that for the most part, most of the cameras, like even if you go down to like the 3200 level, I think that there's a phenomenal amount of detail that you're seeing right now, phenomenal amount of video that you'll see that really. What I tell people to do is just save a lot of the money that you have. Like if you're starting with a basic camera, get a very, very basic camera and save whatever money you're doing on that basic camera for the investment on the lenses. The lenses is the biggest thing that you're going to be able to have. You can shoot with a 3200 and you shoot with a 7200 lens and your image is going to be stunning. So as a technique, if you're just starting out, get yourself a very basic camera. Don't worry about the fact that it's a kit lens because the money is going to be spent on the lenses. That is the number one thing that you need to do.
The problem is not going to be the camera body that you buy. The problem is going to be behind the camera and all the things that have to happen behind the camera and in front of the camera to make a great picture. Composition, lighting, all those different things. That's going to be where you'll need to get good, but the problem's not going to be behind your camera. The cheapest DSLR camera right now takes an incredible picture and a better picture than any camera did 5 years ago that professionals used. If there's one caveat, if you want to jump right into sports photography at night, inside, that kind of changes things.
You got to shoot with a D4. Sorry.
So
I hate to break it to you. D4 is where you're at.
So if you're just starting out and you're a beginner and you want to say, I want to jump right into sports photography and I got a gig to shoot the football games that all happen at night,
just bypass Canon. Just go straight to the Nikon D4.
Go to the bank, get a loan.
Just be done with it.
Yeah, go to the bank and get a loan.
I'm sorry, Pete. Canon's cute, but this is where grown-ups go to work. I'm just saying it's the D4. That's where you go.
All right.
Hey, we're being waived. Is that what
let's at least get through a couple.
Okay, all right. Let's get a couple more.
Let's see, lenses. What lens would you recommend people start off with?
The lens that I would probably start with is a. Wow, I'm a 24-70 guy. I do a lot of environmental portraiture. Look at the type of work that you do. If you're doing portrait, one person, just nice defocus background, 70-200 2.8 is the first lens that you should own. If you're doing a portrait where you're going to have a man and an environment, or a woman and an environment, 24-70. Those would be the two lenses. Other than that, you could not find a person who was more excited about an 85-1.4 that doesn't want to own one anymore.
I think, and I agree with you. I think those are two good ones. I think another beginner one that I would recommend would be on the full frame side, the 28 to 300, and on the crop sensor side, the 18 to 200. They're a little pricier, and it's well, not pricier than 24 to 70, but they're pricier than the kit lens, the lens that's going to come with your camera. Okay, they're pricier than that, and that lens that comes with your camera is just a piece of plastic to fill the box. It's a kit lens. You're gonna probably grow out of it, and you're gonna probably want something else before you ever want another camera or anything like that.
Guys, the best thing for you to do, if I were to give you a beginner thing, find the lens that you want. Take the recommendation that we want to give you before we start seeing a whole bunch of hate mail. Obviously, I like the Canons. Canons put out just fine cameras. We're just doing it just to kind of just make the people faint in the chat room. But if you want to be able to find the lens, the best thing for you to do is to take a little bit of that money and rent it. Rent it, borrow it and rent it. Those are going to be the best way for you to be able to test it. Go to places like this, like Lens Pro to Go. Take a look at the stuff that they have here. Rent it. Go to borrow lenses. Look, they have the borrow lenses as the Nikon 80 to 400. You want to try it? Go rent it. Go out and do a shoot with it and go, this is going to work for me, this is not going to work for me. I used to think that I wanted an 85-1.4, and I started shooting with it, and I didn't like it.
Yeah. And the other thing, most camera stores have a 30-day return policy.
Yep.
That 30-day return policy is not so you can get the lens and drop it and return. I mean, they understand that sometimes people buy something that they may not like. It's okay. It's okay for you to buy a lens and return it because you didn't like it. You're not being dishonest. I think it'd be slightly dishonest to buy the lens and go do a professional shoot with it and then take it back. But if you buy it and you just don't like it, you can take it back. Just about every reputable camera store out there will take it back. Somebody asked about full frame versus cropped. So the D30-200 and I think the 70-200 is that next level up. If you want full frame, and maybe you're in that entry level area, but maybe you shot. Maybe you years ago you shot and then you're getting back into it or whatever. If you're in that entry level area, but you're going to get to that next level pretty quick, I'd say the D600. It's more expensive. It's a $2,000 camera versus a $600 camera or $900 camera, but it is a killer camera. I love my D800. But I still think sometimes I might have gotten the D600 had it been out when I was buying the D800. It's 24 megapixels, still shoots good frames per second, full frame camera, excellent quality.
I think that the problem that they have with the D800 is that the 800 became the camera that and I was just talking to somebody yesterday about this. Casey was here who works with the St. Pete Times Forum. And she was saying, oh, I bought the D800. And I'm like, you're probably not all that excited about it. She's like, no. And it's like, because what happened was the D700 was a camera that people bought that was like the poor man's D3. And they turned around and came out the D3S and the D4. And the D800, in my opinion, is not the replacement to the D700.
Not at all.
It's the replacement to the D3X.
Yeah.
So it's 36 megapixels, super big, which require lots of new cards, because you need to store more images, lots more RAM to process stuff, lots more space on hard drives.
It has decimated my hard drive. Yeah. But I love it.
It's a great camera to use.
It has decimated my hard drive.
But it is a precision camera. I mean, and that's one of those things.
I would recommend it to a landscape shooter, a D800 to a landscape shooter or studio portrait. For, you're going to be in a controlled environment. But either one of those two, I think it's basically always got to be on a tripod. Although I have shot it not on a tripod and getting shot portraits outside with it that have been tack sharp, but I think it's mostly a tripod camera.
Hey, are we breaking?
Okay, we'll take a quick break and we'll start talking tripods, ball heads, hard drives, printers, all that stuff. So we'll be back here in just a minute.
Hi everybody, Scott Kelby here. I want to tell you about a brand new member benefit for members of the National Association of Photoshop Professionals. We just call it NAP for short. So at NAP we have literally thousands of training tutorials. That's what we do. We teach Photoshop, right? But the tutorials that we've had have always been kind of short, sweet, down and dirty, quick. But now we are announcing full, in-depth online training classes. That's right, taught by some of the best instructors in the world. Now here's the thing too, if you're a beginner, this is so for you because the focus of our first round of classes was really on the beginner, on leading you step by step to where you become advanced. And we'll be adding new classes all the time. Now, the coolest thing about all this is, we didn't raise the price. In fact, we've never raised the price. NAP still is just $99, back like it was years and years ago, but it includes a full subscription to Photoshop User Magazine, the digital version or print, your choice, and these brand new full-length online training courses. So I hope you'll check this out at photoshopuser.com. It's where people go to get really good at Photoshop.
We're back live on the grid. Nik Kloskowski here with RC Concepcion, in case for some reason that you didn't know our names and you just tuned in. Which is highly unlikely. Hey, one of our sponsors we wanted to mention is Wacom. You can find them over at Wacom.com. They make the pen and tablets that pretty much if you are a photographer or designer using Photoshop, you absolutely need. No question. Yeah, and you know what the one, so it just released a Cintiq, a 13.
That's right, the 13 HD.
So it's the one, it's got the screen you actually draw on it rather than a tablet that's next to your computer. But somebody told me that I think the best way to explain why you need a tablet is think of the precision and accuracy that you want when you're editing your photos. Think of it this way. How hard is it to sign your name with a mouse?
Yep.
It's impossible to sign your name with a mouse, but if you pick up a pen and you can sign your name all day long. That, if you think about that analogy, that's the precision and accuracy that you get with a pen and tablet.
Precision, accuracy, and productivity.
Yeah.
I think that that's one of those things. It's like when you start editing a picture and you start editing with a pen, there's a lot of people that get freaked out about the learning curve that's in there. But guys, I got to be honest with you. When you start working on a Wacom tablet, it'll just make sense. It just makes sense when you're working with it and you're like, okay, this changes everything. And
you
I
will
think
learn
that's
it.
one of those things. You will learn it.
You will learn it.
You will learn it.
All right. Hey, if you can pull up my computer screen, this is my buddy from
Dude, he's a tall 10-year-old.
So
no, I'm just totally kidding.
He was standing on the stage, and I stood next to him here. But that's Christian, 10 years old. He was at the Lightroom seminar last Friday. So big thanks to Christian.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
Okay, so jumping back over to our...
Oh, Jerry says, basic gear suggestion sounds great. Hope you remember not all of us can spring for big bucks for tripods, ball heads, etc. Jerry, you don't have to spring for it either, and that's the beauty of it. And now this is something that Brad had also talked about. Jerry, you can buy used gear too. This is one of the things that, here's a used gear tip. Make sure that you go to places like B&H and Adorama and KEH. KEH is a great place for you to buy used gear, and you can get a great deal on something like this, and it's something you don't have to be, you know, like Craigslist and eBay can be a little freaky when it comes to stuff. You never know what you're going to get, and you never know if it's going to be a box of rocks or anything like that. So buying on B&H and buying on KEH and Adorama and places like that, that's going to be a good thing.
Yeah.
Now, that said, one of the things that I think that's important also to keep in mind is that, Jerry, it's going to take good gear to get good things. I'm not telling you to buy it because you could always rent it. So that in itself could be something on the cheap.
So tripods. I think as a, because RC and I think RC and I kind of both agree on the tripod that we use or some of the tripods that we really like. That said, if you're just starting out, I think tripods is where you can save some money.
Yep.
B&H has a brand called Oben.
Yep.
And,
right here.
And I used an Oben monopod to shoot a golf tournament on Monday. You know what? I've used many other monopods before and many, many more expensive monopods before. I did not notice one tiny little difference in using the Oben, other than I'm sure that monopod probably costs $200 less than its counterpart somewhere. So I think Oben is a great brand. I think Vanguard
is also
another great brand, and two great entry level monopods, tripods for that whole area there.
And you can get things like carbon fiber, lightweight, really nice heads. So it's not like you're chinsing out on it. It really does. Like people are like, oh, I gotta go spend a lot of money because I need to be able to get carbon fiber. You can get carbon fiber on Opens and have it be just fine.
Now, here's So you're gonna say, well, hey, I just went on the website and there's 10 different Obins and there's 10 different Vanguard tripods. Which one do I buy? That's where you got to kind of look a little bit about what you're shooting. So if you travel a lot, all right, you travel a lot and you don't have any space to pack a tripod, buy the smallest tripod possible. Buy one that folds up so tightly that you could fit it into your laptop bag, because portability is more important to you than having a big, massive tripod that you can stand on top of a mountain in 40 to 40 mile an hour winds or whatever. You need something. If you're traveling and you're going to shoot places and you want to be a landscape photographer, I would buy the heavier, bigger tripod, because you're going to be standing on top of those places with 40 mile an hour winds whipping through. I have video on my phone of my buddy Brian Matias's tripod going right over in Death Valley. Partly my fault, because I asked him to take a picture of me with my phone, and so he left his tripod, and because my camera strap was flying through the air, it was so windy. But anyway, and then he pans over to his tripod as it goes over.
So Obin, Vanguard, great
Obin,
choices.
Vanguard, and then at that point, as far as size goes, just figure out what kinds of if you're gonna be in the studio. Maybe you can go with something a little smaller, a little bit lighter. You want to be portable. You're not going to have the elements around you that are going to affect that tripod moving. If you're going to be outside a lot and you know the weather's going to get kind of crazy, you're probably going to want something stronger and more sturdy. But those are the two brands. All that said,
the big tripod that you want, your second tripod.
This is said from the guys who own a $900 tripod right now.
The tripod that we would go for if you want the bigger one would be Really Right Stuff. Really Right Stuff, just...
But
that's it.
When
That's
did you
the
get your
tripod.
Really Right Stuff?
After a couple of years of...
I mean, no, like last year, right?
Yeah.
I got my Really Right Stuff last year. So this is after, 9 good years of shooting, going through a lot of tripods and being happy with them, but just kind of realizing this is the one that I want.
Right.
So I would still recommend you start out with something much less expensive. Kind of figure it out that way along the lines of what you like. Ball heads, Obins and Vanguards, they all come with a ball head. I wouldn't go crazy about buying an aftermarket ball head at that point. I think they all have very, very good ball heads. I always kind of like the pistol grip when I was starting. The kind it's got like a little grip thing, and you just grip it and then you move your camera, you position it. You don't turn a knob, then turn your camera, and then lock in the knob. It's just a pistol grip, and as soon as you let that tension go, it locks the camera in. So I always think that's a good one to start with. Let's see here. Hard drives.
Hard drives.
So portable hard drives.
G-Tech.
G-Tech.
G-Tech is where we would go here. Let me just bring that up right now. Gtechnology.com. These are the drives that I'm going for a lot of the stuff. So the ones that I would use, products, I would come over here. I'm using this one right here, the G Drive Mini.
Yep.
Those are the removable drives that I'm using.
I got 4 of them.
Yeah, I got 4 of them too. So far they've been the most reliable about what's happening with this. I've had problems with drives, and the IT director is like sitting over there nodding emphatically, because I grab drives and I just mow right through them because they're in bags and I'm traveling and I'm throwing them in and throwing them out and connecting, and I keep blowing the ports on the drives. I had these other sets of drives where they were FireWire, USB, and all the FireWire ports would blow. And I would stack them on top of they were just broken. I had to take them apart and do stuff. Sorry.
Dude, I hate to say it, is LaCie. Those
I wasn't going to say it.
Those orange rugged drives, and I had too many of them fail on me to keep using them. I used them because I always liked the way they looked.
But see, they should call them the LaCie Cutes, not ruggeds.
I had too many of them fail on me to continue to keep using. And I know I'm hard on my hard drives. I know I travel a lot.
But you should expect them to work.
They're called rugged, so I would say. But
This is rugged.
I've been extremely happy with that.
They got rid of all of the little. They got rid of all of the little rubber. This is built.
And we're pointing out the 1 terabyte models, which we travel with, but they have larger ones too if you want to put it on your desktop.
That's right. Oh well, here I use this for backing up at home. The G-Raid Thunderbolt.
Yeah.
So I mean, we're a big G-Raid house here.
All right. Somebody wrote a good question in. I just watched Lindsay Adler's class, and she seems to be using all Sigma lenses. I've been wanting to get a 70-200 f2.8 from my Canon. A wonderful lens, no matter who makes it.
Absolutely.
And is there really that much of a difference between Canon and Sigma for the price difference? Her photos sure don't seem to reflect any issues. Nick, I could not agree with you more than possible. I think Sigma, Tamron, I think they're great lenses. I'll tell you, I did a review, if you go to mattkay.com and just do a search for Tamron 24-70, I wrote a review on a Tamron lens. I'll tell you the only difference that I've ever found. I did a sharpness test. I put the Nikon 24-70 on, and I put the Tamron 24-70 on. It wasn't windy. Nothing was moving. My camera was on a tripod, and I took 2 photos with the same exact settings. Sharpness-wise, I could not tell one bit of difference. And let's face it, sharpness is really what we're all concerned about. I think that's the number 1 concern. As a landscape photographer, I'm not as concerned with autofocus speed because I usually have a second or two to autofocus. Okay. But I will tell you, it did search for focus for just a second longer than the Nikon counterpart did. It just you kind of see your lens go. You kind of see that, and it did search for focus for I don't know if it really is an issue with the lens, but I found it in a landscape shoot, and I also found it in a portrait shoot in the studio where the modeling light wasn't on, and it just kind of.
It was a little slower.
Kind of did a little searching. So me as a photographer of things that generally stay still, not as big of an issue. If you're going to be shooting things that are moving, you might want to do some research online and figure out if it's really that much of an effect. Sharpness-wise, though, quality of the photos, I could not tell one bit of difference.
Good.
So,
good.
I would have to assume I've heard the same thing about Sigma too.
Perfect.
All right. Let's see here. I'm just looking on my list. Printers. We kind of mentioned it before.
Epson R3000. That's pretty much where you go.
This is not. I want to print. I want to print. A 4x6 or a 5x7 or something like that. This is. I want to start doing some printing of my foot.
You want to print a 4x7, a 5x6, and all that kind of stuff? Go to MPix.
Yeah, MPix.
Go to MPix.
Yeah.
Dude, you send them all the stuff. 24 hours later, it's sitting at your house.
Yeah.
They can take care of all of that stuff very, very cheaply for you. But if you want to start noodling around with the print process and just kind of seeing what your work looks like and things like that, and kind of just exploring with it, printmaking is something that's very, very, it's important to people. People really get into it.
Well, and I think it dates, I think, a lot back to the darkroom and the process of creating a photo and making a print, because that was the final place. And I think you find a lot of people that do that are people that come from that type of a background for it. So yeah, like RC said, it is a feel, it's a process thing, and I think the R3000 is probably
13 inches wide, beautiful color, great black and white, pretty sharp. You can use it wirelessly. I did an entire thing on it, and there's a link, so we'll put it after the show. But this entire thing on just printing different pieces of media with that.
All right, so somebody's just starting out. There's a ton of different papers out there.
Okay.
So let's take brand out of it. There's matte, there's hot press, there's cold press, there's finer. There's all these different papers out there. So if somebody was just starting out, what would be a good all-around paper that you know that they would probably like the prints on?
Premium luster. Any kind of premium luster photo paper is a good starting off paper.
Absolutely, because it's not high gloss, but it's not matte. It's kind of in between, and it just colors look great on it. You'll have a good printing experience with it, and I think a lot of printing paper companies make them. So Red River, Epson makes it. So any type of a premium luster paper, though.
Right.
So somebody sent this in on my Google Plus page or Facebook, one of the two. Websites. They said, if I'm a beginner and I want to start making a website to show off my photography, what would you choose?
I would choose WordPress. I'm a big fan of WordPress. I do a lot of the stuff that I do on WordPress. I like being able to integrate images and blogs together, to put them together. However, the problem with that is that sometimes, even as simple as WordPress can be, it can sometimes require a little bit of heavy lifting on something like that. In that respect, I think that I would use something like you started using Squarespace when you're doing stuff, and you found Squarespace to be great.
Oh yeah, here I'll pull up. Here.
So Squarespace is something where we've been kind of looking at it, and it's like it's been around for a while, and they make it dead easy for you to work and get your stuff up. After you and after Pete had gone through all of these accounts, I was like, I'm gonna go back to Squarespace and check it out. I signed up for a Squarespace account. I took a look at it, and I was like, I can kind of see why people are liking this, because it really made it very easy for you to look at that kind of stuff. So
if you're just starting out, I agree with. So my blog is on WordPress. But you do kind of get your hands dirty a little bit with it, and you have to. If you're just starting out, I know that two names come to mind: Squarespace and SmugMug. All right. Here's what I tell people, because I get a lot of these questions during my Lightroom seminar on where do I show off my photos. What I would tell people is if you just want a place to display your photos on the web, you want a home for your photos on the web so that you can go to all your friends and family and coworkers, whoever, and just say, oh yeah, go check out my website, you can see my photography. I would use Squarespace. Okay. Even if you wanted to create a blog, they've got Squarespace is a blogging company. I mean, they started out as a blogging company and they added photo templates into it after the fact. So they've got incredible blogs. Pete's blog is on there, and I think they're great. So if you just want to do that, if you have clients, if you're shooting, your neighbors' families, or you're shooting, your kids' baseball team, and the coach sees you with a camera and he says, hey, would you mind shooting one of the games for us, or shoot whatever, and you get to that point where you're going to shoot a bunch of photos that you want to either share or sell with people. You
can't beat SmugMug.
SmugMug. You have to go with SmugMug because they're just the best that's out there for it. So it just it's that line of, I just want to show off my photos, I would use Squarespace. I want to show off my photos, but I also want people to be able to download or buy them and proof them. Then I would go with SmugMug.
Yep, I'd agree. Squarespace instead of 500px, asks Casey. Yeah, I would. Yeah.
Squarespace is your site. 500px is somebody else's site that your photos go on. So.
Yep.
All right, let's see, what else do we have here?
Brad's flashing us.
All right, we're gonna take a very quick.
And he's on his stomach. He actually has break written.
Break.
How'd you write that on your stomach upside down?
All right, when we get back from our break, we'll talk favorite HDR software if you're just starting out, and a couple other things here, and we'll see you back here in just a minute.
The business of photography begins the moment you press the button and click the shutter. But it isn't just about taking great photographs. Whether you're a professional or beginner, you need to learn how to protect yourself and the images you take. I'm New York attorney Ed Greenberg, and along with photographer Jack Resnicki, together we'll walk you through each and every step of the process. We will teach you how to protect your images as well as protect yourself. We'll show you why your model releases are every bit as important as the images you take. So come check out our classes on model releases and copyright registration on kelbytraining.com and only on kelbytraining.com.
Like live? We went from 20 seconds to 15 seconds to live in a matter of 3 seconds. That's good. That's funny, Juan. Thank you.
I'm sitting there and I'm like scrolling up, checking the chat, making sure that we can cover anything, and then it's like live, and I'm like,
I'm thinking either saying like you're about to go live or 15
live in 5, live in 4, live in 3, and no, just straight up live.
That's good stuff. All right, HDR man. And by the way, if you didn't know, he is the HDR god of the world. RC, if someone's just starting out with HDR,
Photomatics.
Yeah,
Photomatics.
You know what?
And it hurts me to say it. It hurts me to say it because I was a huge fan of Nik HDRFX Pro 1. And then all of a sudden HDRFX Pro 2 came out. They're like, hey, take a look at this. And I'm like, pull up pull up. There's something about it that just doesn't look the same. It doesn't look. I can't. And every time I go back into it, and then all of a sudden, Photomatic started picking it up. I mean, I wrote the first half. I wrote the HDR book on HDRFX Pro 1. And now I'm in the process of working on the HDR book. I'm doing a second edition on it. And I'm reanalyzing everything, and I'm looking at all of the stuff, and all of the stuff that I see from Photomatics is like, Google, buy Photomatics. If you want another target, just buy that. Just scoop it up, throw it up in there. That's my recommendation.
And so as somebody that's done a lot of HDR too, like we say if you're just starting out, buy Photomatics. As somebody who has been doing it for a while, I still like Photomatics. Yeah. I've gone in, I've tried a whole bunch of different stuff, and I still find I like the HDR from Photomatics the best.
Now, that said, one of the things that I talk about in the book all the time is that I say that what you do with your images on a post-processing standpoint is the part that's important. Mm-hmm. In that, all of my images, every single one of them that I do in HDR goes through Color Efex Pro 4. Every single one of them. It goes through Color Efex Pro 4 from Nik. It goes through Nik Sharpener Pro all the time. Yeah. All day long. So in that, I still use the Nik stuff, but I just couldn't stick behind the Photomatics. I mean, without going to Photomatics. I love them. I hated them.
One of the things we didn't mention was cards. Card memory.
Cards, Lexar. I use Lexars. Yeah. I use Lexars all the time.
I always kind of just say buy cheap. I mean, you do have, there have been failures. I've had failures. We've all had failures. But I still kind of buy a cheap card. I still do it. I can't.
Like Kingston? Like,
I don't know, dude.
I'm sorry, Kingston.
There's always memory deals. There's always like, oh God, I just got a 256 gigabyte card for 6 cents because with the $40 rebate and the $10 instant rebate and the $150 manufacturer's rebate.
I could always still try to find. Things. Now that said,
I have mostly Lexar.
Everything that I have now, my thing is Lexar. And one of the tips that I got from the guy at Lexar was that he said that a lot of the times card corruptions usually happen on the point of transfer. So what he said was don't chintz out on like the Tiger Direct special for a card reader. Make sure that you get yourself a really good card reader.
No kidding.
And he was just like, most of the times it's the card reader that messes stuff up. Jeff Cable recommends using a card reader. Get a really good card reader.
Huh. I never knew that. That's a great tip, though.
Yeah. He's like, don't chintz out on the card reader. Thank you very much, Jeff Cable. Brad writes, I should know who his name is because he kicks my butt at Scramble with Friends all the time. Yes, he most certainly does. Woo, that guy's lethal. But Jeff's brought that up, and I was just like, that was the best piece of advice that I got. Don't chintz on the card reader.
All right. Software-wise, this, I don't want to open up a can of worms because we could really talk software all day. If you're a photographer, and you're just starting out, what I would say is Lightroom is the place to go.
Yes.
If you're not sure you're ready for Photoshop, if Photoshop's not quite there for you, price, whatever happens, I think Lightroom is the place to go. Lightroom is where you would organize your photos. Lightroom is where you develop white balance and exposure and sharpening and all that stuff. And then you can share, print, do everything inside of Lightroom. The times where you'll move over into Photoshop would be for retouching. I want to clone out that telephone wire. I want to take the blemishes off of somebody's skin. I want to brighten their eyes, whatever it happens to be. But I think you move over into Photoshop for the fine-tune work. Mm-hmm. But the big heavy lifting is done in Lightroom these days. So if you're just starting out, it'll cost you $149. It's Lightroom, and I think it'll do a majority of what you want it to do.
Can you use Lightroom in Elements?
That's really where I'd go. Is if you're starting out is Elements. So if you decide I do have that telephone wire I have to clone out, Elements has just about almost the same retouching technology that Photoshop, the full version, has. So you buy Lightroom, you buy Elements for what, $69, and you can go seamlessly from Lightroom, jump into Elements, and then it'll take it right back over into Lightroom. So a good way to start out there. Anything else that you can think of, just starting out wise, that we missed? I know.
We talked about websites. We talked about paper. We talked about cameras. We talked about.
I get a lot of questions on color calibration. Camera straps and color calibration.
Camera straps.
Camera straps. I would go with the upstrap.
Upstrap. Upstrap.com is a great place for you to go for camera straps.
Upstrap. I think it's upstrappro.com or something like that.
Right. I just usually like using a regular camera strap. I'm not a big fan of using any kind of, if you need to keep it on your shoulder, that's what I would do. If you need to, if you want to go for a really, really long time, use a spider holster.
The spider holster.
Spider holsters are great. You just plug it onto the side. If you can pull up the spider holster website, it's just great because you can buckle it onto your hip and then you have the camera dangle from your hip and it takes the load off of your shoulder. It's a phenomenal, phenomenal thing. So they've got some great stuff there.
Here's
this is
a spider.
They have a spider monkey, which is like a thing for flashes. So that's the setup. It's a great setup for you to carry a camera.
If you need your hands free.
If you need your hands free.
So if you're going to be walking around with your camera and you're good, just throw it over your shoulder. Up strap, it won't go anywhere. If you're going to be walking around, you need your hands free and you're going to be moving around a lot, the spider holster.
Right. The cross ones are okay.
No.
Yes.
No, dude.
Okay. I just
yes, no. There's a reason why. Tell them why.
Moobs. It's just man.
We're not going to say we have children in the audience, so we're not going to.
Sorry,
you did say.
I'm sorry.
Moobs.
Okay, it's not very flattering for people when you do cross straps. It's not a very flattering look.
Yeah,
that's all.
All right,
and I'm sorry. I care about what it look like. I wear black shirts for a reason.
Color calibration stuff,
data color
fly vowels and all the things like that. Yeah, color calibration on the computer. If you're going to color calibrate your screen, the spider. And just this basic screen, you don't even need the print calibration one.
Right.
Just the basic screen calibration one. Spider, Data Color, DATACOLOR, his name. Anything else like with the what's it called? The Expo discs and the color charts and all that stuff. I think you're getting into a different level there. I think a lot of the color charts are for people, catalogs and different things like that. If you're just starting out, that's not something that I would buy when I was just starting out. So,
good.
All right,
good.
Oh, and training. Well, we know a really good place for training.
Absolutely.
It's called kelbytraining.com, and if I were just starting out, that's the place that I would want to go. How about you?
I would go to kelbytraining.com too.
Of course, they are one of our sponsors here. So lots of great photography training classes, and we are in the process. So if you're watching this is the end of March, very, very soon, like within weeks, there's going to be a whole beginner's onslaught of classes that are going to go up on there. A ton of beginner's classes because we've been working on them for a long time. So if you are starting out, stay tuned to Kelby Training because there's going to be a lot of new stuff on there. You got anything else, man?
I think we're good.
Where can people find you?
If anybody wants to find me, you can find me over at my website, aboutrc.com, or you could find me on Google+, gplusrc.com. What about you, Mr. Matt?
I'm going to pull up RC's website. This is where you can find him.
So
and
WordPress
website right there.
It's all WordPress.
You got all your social media links at the bottom.
All the social media links are right there. So if anybody wants to see any of my stuff, that's the best place for you to take a look at it.
Aboutrc.com. Right. And mine is matk.com. So just mattk.com.
Awesome. So very, very cool. Contest time.
Yeah.
Was there a contest? Were we doing a contest?
We are supposed to.
Oh, okay.
We have books. Let's see here. Prizes. We have Storytellers by Jared Foster, Peach Pit Press. And then we also have Plugins with OnOne Software by Nicole Young.
Yeah.
And let's see here. Is that... No, there's no prizes listed up there.
So one of you guys.
How do you recommend we give these prizes away?
I recommend that you guys leave a comment on the show page.
Okay, so go to kelbytv.com.
Go to kelbytv.com/thegrid. What? Go to kelbytv.com/contest.
Yeah, and there's a little contest link at the top of the screen. You can just click the contest link.
Click on contest,
right
fill in the information. It's over in this one section right here. Name, email address, leave us a comment. One of you guys is going to win Nicole's book, as well as Jared Foster's book. Thank you very much, Peach Pit Press, for providing the books.
Sweet. Oh, God, dude. We didn't talk Flash. I'm just looking up there. All right, let's do it really, really quick. Portable Flash, what would you buy?
SPE. Nikons.
The Nikon SPE?
Nikon Canon 580 X2s are great. Those are really, really good. Now, if you want to go in the cheap, oh, Metz is nice. Metz is a really,
Remember,
really good
they're
nice.
just starting out. They're
cheap.
just starting out.
If you want to get cheap,
they don't know if they even like portable flash yet, but they think they should get one.
Young Nuo 562s. The Young Nuo 562 is like a Tic Tac for flash. It really is. You can have it, and if it breaks, you're like, just throw it out. Like, it's just, you can literally, like, you can use it like as like a Christmas tree ornament when it's done. It doesn't matter. You want something that's on the cheap, this is a place for you to get it. Now,
YONGNUO.
Young Nuo, right?
Young Nuo.
560. You can get them on. I think you can get them on Amazon.
Okay.
I think you have to go on Amazon.
If you go to their website, then you'll need to learn Japanese.
Okay.
Or Chinese or some Asian language.
That is Chinese.
Shut up.
No, that is actually Korean.
Shut up. All right. So so Young Nuo, and you like the Metzes too?
Yeah, Metz flashes are great flashes.
All right. Scott's got a class on Kelby training called Light It, Shoot It, Retouch It for small flash.
Right.
And he actually talks about some off-brand but very, very good flashes.
Right.
All right. Studio. So if somebody's kind of starting out and they're wanting to move into the studio again, can't go Broncolor on them and say here's 15 grand for a head or a pack.
I would probably go with Elenkrams, the BXRIs.
Yeah.
Elenkrams have got great BXRIs, and pound for pound, it's a great light system. Great light system, great recycle time, modular enough for you to use with, okay, of course, BXRI 500s are discontinued. That's what I would use. All right. The BRX 500. We have our technical editor telling us what it is. So the BRX 500 is what I would use. It's entry level, but it's something that's going to be able to grow with you.
Okay. If modifier?
Modifier, I would probably use a 28-inch rectangle.
28-inch rectangle? Kind of good all-around, start me off.
That'll get you everything. I'm not a big fan of the Alien Bs, so it's one of those things where it's like I try to stay away from the Alien B lights. I don't do it. Everybody's like, oh my God, Alien B's customer service is wonderful. You send them your broken flash and you send it back. And I'm like, you know what? I don't want to send it to them in the first place. So if you stop breaking them in the first place, then I don't have to send them to you. We don't even have to worry about it. So I'm going to use something like Elenkrams where those things can take a beating and I can count on them when I need them here.
Yeah.
So
cool.
That's what I would do.
All right. Guys, thank you so much for hanging in there with us today. Hope we answered your questions. If not, leave them on any one of the many places that we mentioned before, and in some way we'll figure out a way to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming on, man.
Thank you very much.
Hey, take care. We will see you again next time on The Grid.
Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
This week's episode of The Grid is sponsored by InPix. Shoot today, upload tonight, we ship tomorrow. OnOne Software, focused on photography. Peach Pit Press, publishers of technology books, ebooks, and videos for creative people. Epson, exceed your vision. Expo Imaging, rogue flash vendors for speedlight enthusiasts. Intel, the power you need for hardcore creatives. Squarespace, everything you need to create an exceptional photography website. And B&H Photo, the professional source.